And therefore, the delay, we apologize on behalf of the mission for the restart of the meeting. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mamwepa. Honorable Prime Minister, Mtate Tom Tabani, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Mtate Metsing, Honorable Chief Tesele Masiribani, Honorable Monyani Muleleki, Honorable Ndade Vincent Malebo, Honorable Ministers of Government who are here, Honorable Traditional Leaders, Marena, Bamona, SADC Deputy Executive Secretary, Dr. Mhlongo, Special Envoy of the Commonwealth, Dr. Prasad, Senior SADC officials, members of the Diplomatic Corps who are present here, members of the media, both present and absent, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Would like to apologize to keep you waiting. We were doing last-minute consultations on the matter we're about to address you on. Many of you will recall that following the challenges that Lesotho has been facing in the short while, a number of leaders in the region decided that as SADC, they are also affected as countries and as the peoples of Southern Africa, and felt the need to intervene with a view of finding a solution to the challenges that the citizens and the people of Lesotho were facing. As a result, the SADC double troika heads of states and government, together with the DRC and Tanzania, held a meeting in Pretoria on the 15th September 2014. And at that meeting, they mandated us as the facilitation group to facilitate dialogue amongst all political and other role players in the Kingdom of Lesotho as part of efforts to assist the country to return to constitutional normalcy, political stability, and the restoration of peace and security. In this context, the SADC Troika meeting that was held in Pretoria built upon decisions of the SADC organ on politics, defense, and security meeting that was held in Windhoek under the leadership of President of the Republic of Namibia, President Pohamba. The decisions of the organ were subsequently endorsed during the SADC Summit Heads of States and Government meeting that was held in Victoria Falls in August of 2014. In pursuance of these objectives, we have over the past few weeks paid a number of visits to the Kingdom of Lesotho, and in this regard, we have paid a number of courtesy calls on His Majesty the King Letsie III. We consulted with coalition partners in government. We met, I would say, almost all opposition parties, political parties. We also met representatives of the College of Chiefs. We also met with the Council of Churches and met the non-governmental organization that is the umbrella body for various non-governmental organizations in Lesotho. Indeed, we also met the Independent Electoral Commission of Lesotho. We also had a brief consultation with the Special Envoy of the Commonwealth, Dr. Prasad. During our meetings, we had an opportunity to share with all our interlocutors the terms of reference that were issued by the SADC leaders at their meeting in Pretoria. This we shared with all the political parties and role players that we had occasion to meet with. These terms of reference form the SADC Troika mandate, which in many ways guides our facilitation process in Lesotho with a view of finding a lasting solution to the current security challenges that the country faces, and also to ensure the restoration of political stability and security in the country. We were mandated to do everything that we could to find a lasting solution to the challenges that Lesotho faces. And in this regard, the SADC leaders, as led by President Jacob Zuma, the President of the Republic of South Africa, asked us to give attention specifically to the security challenges that the country faces and try and facilitate the finding of a solution in this regard. We were also asked by the leaders to consult extensively with the coalition partners in government, as well as other political parties, and try and find consensus on how the parliament, which was prorogued, can be reconvened so that parliament can get on with the business that it was elected for. We were also asked to look at and to facilitate the holding of early elections, or better still, the bringing forward of the elections, that those elections that were meant to be held in 2017 should be held a lot earlier, because the leaders of the region determined that the holding of earlier elections holds the key to finding a solution to the political challenges and indeed the security challenges that the country faces. And in doing all this, we were asked by the leaders of the region to do everything that is necessary to have broad consultation with various stakeholders. We were also asked by the leaders of the region to see the extent to which some reforms that would lead to finding permanent or more lasting solutions can be determined and can be identified and embarked upon. In doing all this, we canvassed these issues amongst all political and other role players within the Kingdom of Lesotho. I was particularly encouraged by the depth and the breadth of patriotism that we found as a facilitation team amongst Basotho. The love of their country is quite extensive, and we found that many, if not all, want to find lasting solutions to the problems that beset the country. We found that many wanted to move their country forward out of the current political and security challenges. In this regard, and following consultations, I am pleased to announce that an agreement has been reached with the major political stakeholders following our extensive consultations with them. And the agreement is as follows: that His Majesty the King Letsiya III will reconvene Parliament on the 17th of October 2014. The sitting of the Parliament will be limited to passing of a budget and to do all other related matters regarding the holding of early elections. National general elections will be held towards the end of February 2015 and on a date that will be determined by His Majesty the King. In other words, the time frame has been set, and His Majesty the King will determine the exact date on which those elections will be held. Parliament, having been reconvened, will be dissolved at the beginning of December 2014 to prepare the country for the holding of general elections. All political parties represented in Parliament are called upon to recognize the responsibility that rests on their shoulders, to respect the Constitution, uphold democratic principles, and secure the restoration of peace and of political stability and security in the Kingdom of Lesotho. All the citizens of the Kingdom of Lesotho, including non-governmental organizations and other role players, traditional, civic, and religious, are also called upon to support this critical endeavor for the restoration of peace and political stability and security in the Kingdom of Lesotho. The SADC mission, which has now been set up in Lesotho, in Maseru here, and in this regard, we've got to thank the Prime Minister and the government of Lesotho for having moved with great speed to facilitate the establishment of the SADC mission and to provide the facilities in the form of an office and other logistical support measures. We thank them for doing so. And this SADC mission will remain in Lesotho until after the elections have been concluded. It will play a supportive role to the various institutions, particularly the government and indeed parliamentary processes, to ensure that the mandate that was given by the heads of government is fulfilled, that of restoring stability and ensuring that there is peace and security. As it executes its mission, it will look very closely at the issue of the security structures of this country to make sure that they do everything they can to maintain peace and stability. And in this regard, we call upon the leadership of the security arms of this country in the form of the police and the army to do everything they can in the interest of the people of Lesotho and to desist from having conflicts between themselves at leadership level as well as at member level. It is important that the level of peace between these two arms is maintained so that Lesotho can be restored to normalcy. The Independent Electoral Commission will be expected to conduct these elections on a free and fair basis, and we have no doubt whatsoever that the Independent Electoral Commission of Lesotho has the capability, has the ability to run the forthcoming elections on a free and fair basis. SADC on its own will assist the IEC in its efforts to hold a credible, free and fair election. SADC will position itself to give as much assistance as will be necessary to make sure that the will of the people of Lesotho is given or declared. I'd like to take this opportunity to extend my gratitude and indeed that of the SADC heads of state and government, as well as to His Majesty the King, for his support and for his guidance, and for the support and guidance that we have received from the SADC heads of government. Our gratitude also goes to the coalition government, and particularly to the Prime Minister, the leaders of all political parties who we have been meeting and engaging with. They, in many, many ways, have given quite a lot of guidance. They've given a lot of advice. And what we have arrived at today derives from the engagement that we have held on an extensive basis with them. We like to thank the people of Lesotho for also being supportive. We've been in contact with many ordinary Basotho who would like to see peace and normalcy restored to their country. It now gives me a great deal of pleasure to ask the leaders who are up here, who we have had extensive discussions with, to demonstrate their commitment and indeed their determination to take this step to restore peace and stability in Lesotho, but also take this step to demonstrate it publicly by signing this that we call the Maseru Facilitation Declaration. And this declaration follows on the various other agreements and declarations that have been entered into. And this declaration, which is being entered into and indeed signed in the presence of Basotho, right on the ground, is a declaration which we believe has the capability of taking this country forward, taking it forward in a way where Lesotho will continue to be the pride of ordinary Basotho, and indeed the pride of various countries in Southern Africa as part of the SADC community. We have an agreement which has been canvassed with the leaders here, and would like them to therefore signify their commitment to this new development in Lesotho by appending their signatures so that this country can move on, can continue, and the people of Lesotho can continue to enjoy their democracy going forward. I'll ask the Prime Minister to be the first to append his signature. Do we have a table? Or on the side? Okay.
What's up, man? I would like now to request the leader of the Lesotho Congress for Democracy.
Yeah.
I would now request the leader for the Basotho National Party. I would now request the Democratic Congress, the leader of the Democratic Congress. I would now request the leader for the Basotho Democratic National Party.
Yeah. I think really quite accurately. Quite accurately. I haven't seen him for many months. One last to see. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. In the match.
I nearly died in the intervening months.
What are you doing? Okay.
No, that's all.
Hello. Karan. Man, do look. No, how
I would now request the leader for the National Independent Party.
No. I think that's the whole Uganda has a bad yeah. No, man, you're very happy to see.
I would now request the leader for my Remoto Freedom Party.
All the three major procedures that can
But what about the other? Or you just get bored? You just get bored. And again, I'm not worried that. No.
Now request for the SADC facilitator, President Cyril Ramaphosa, the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, and His Excellency Deputy Executive Secretary of the SADC, Themba Mhlongo.
Oh, yeah. Go.
I have your attention, please. So you're making noise. Thank you, leaders. I share in your joy too.
Convene Parliament on October 27th. It does look like Cyril Ramaphosa is about to address the media again. Let's listen in.
Just conducted and concluded with leaders of all political parties, led by the Prime Minister. At this stage, you have the honor and pleasure of inviting questions from members of the media. Please identify yourselves, including the organization from which you hail. Who will bail the cat? Nobody seems to want to ask us. Yes, Mark Krusner, ENCA.
Mr. President, I just wanted to find out...
Introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry. Stand up.
Oh, okay.
Mark from East Africa. I just wanted to find out, will we still see South African and other SADC peace officers remaining in Lesotho to ensure that there is a semblance of calm in the country?
Yes, the mission, the SADC mission that's here, that is represented by Namibia, Botswana, I said Botswana, Zimbabwe, South Africa, no doubt, and other countries may well also join in, is composed of a number of, if you like, disciplines. There are people from the military, people from the police, and people from the diplomatic corps, and people who are looking at a whole variety of areas of life. It's a substantial mission, and that is how SADC does all these things whenever a member country faces challenges. And the mission is going to be stationed here for the entirety of the period until after the elections. It was meant just to be for 3 months, but seeing that we are now going to go for an election, we're going to extend this mission to be on the ground until after the elections. So, yes, there will be military people who will be working with the military of Lesotho to try and bring normality to the security situation. Yes, there will be police members and officers who will be working with the Lesotho police to try and bring the security situation under control and normalcy. And this should be seen as being an act of solidarity by the SADC community with a country that at this time is going through a particular challenge. Solidarity in the sense that when one country hurts, the community of SADC will come to its support and assistance, and that intervention is by no means crafted as to interfere, to take over. It is crafted as to give support to the various efforts that Basotho themselves will be making to restore peace and stability, both political and security, to their own country. So we act in support and not to supplant or subsume the various roles that local people have to play.
Any further questions? Yes, Chief. Let's take the lady first, right?
Thank you. SABC. Deputy President, one of the problems that has brought Lesotho here is apparently the lack of instruments inside the constitution to support coalition governments, and so the other parties were unhappy with the lack of consultation and the absolute power that the Constitution currently gives the Prime Minister. And so civil society has specifically requested that the period leading to elections be used as part of reforming the Constitution. Will we see this happening?
The experience that Lesotho has had with coalition politics is new. And they have traversed this terrain with a great deal of bravery, because when something new happens to you, you've got to be very brave to traverse such a terrain. But they were also quite wise, because on realizing that this is a new experience for them, they decided to send a multi-party team to New Zealand to go and learn the intricacies of coalition politics. And I'm told that they learned a lot during that trip, and they have brought back quite a lot of experiences and lessons that can be turned into some forms of reforms, and some of these still have to be debated and discussed. And I am sure that in their own wisdom, as the citizens of this country, they will find ways of making coalition politics work for them. That can come in the form of, yes, some reforms that they may decide upon, and this is going to be entirely the decision of the people of Lesotho. So during this intervening period, leading up to elections, yes, it is possible that these reforms can be debated. Some of them may well be long-term type of reforms that may not be implemented now. Some of them may be immediate types of reforms that have the capability of being implemented. But all this has to happen after extensive debates and discussions amongst the people of Lesotho.
Can I take that question there? Yes. Let me just have an indication of how many more questions I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's it. Here, that will be the last. Oh, okay, fine. That will be the last. Can we take all of them at the same time so we can hear? Yes.
Yes, Michael Gordon reporting from Mr. Ramaphosa, on Tuesday night there was another shooting, the latest shooting between police and military. And I'm wondering how SADC intends to respond if violent clashes continue between the military and the police. And secondly, regarding Lieutenant General Kamori, who's been formally dismissed by the Prime Minister and is now being investigated for treason and murder, how do you and SADC intend to handle that situation?
Okay, let's take the question. Just introduce yourself.
My name is Steve. I work for the District Times and some experts newspapers. I would like to know, particularly on the security issue, how are we going to see an amicable solution that would be for both sides that have been in this conflict?
Okay, thank you. Let's take your question.
Yeah, I'm Staff from FM. So since the Deputy President mentioned and stipulated on the reconvening of the Parliament, which is on the 17th of October 2014. So can the Parliament be allowed to use its democracy to see whether it's able to continue up till 2017, other than whereby we mentioned that by 12th of February the King will dissolve the Parliament. Again, I want to know, I remember one of the leaders of the coalition government mentioning when the rally of politics whereby he was mentioning that.
What's the question?
I want to know whether the general election, if it's being held, whether it's going to be free and fair, because we remember that the representative of the IEC, most of them are political. So how is it going to be free and fair?
Thank you. Let's take the question. Yeah. Then you have the last question.
Not too much of an inconvenience. I was wondering, following everyone's questions, if you could just give, you had 6 key points in your statement. If you could summarize it in an Indian language, we would really
And so I suppose.
Afterwards.
Afterwards.
Sure.
Let's take the last question, the Chief.
Yeah,
Yeah, hi, it's Danny Lurie from Xinhua News Agency. I'd just like to follow up on the security and wanted to find out who is officially recognized as the head of Lesotho's military at present.
Thank you.
We have had already declarations right this one. So my question is, what are measures are going to be put in place to ensure that this one is honored? And who is going to chair the court of the SABC mission?
Thank you, all of you, for your questions. I now hand over to the leadership to respond. Thank you.
The first question in this round of questions is the shooting. Yes, there was a shooting. SADC has taken it up onto itself to find out exactly what this was all about, and that process is ongoing. And clearly, we would like to see incidents like these coming to an end, and it is our firm hope and belief that this milestone announcement today begins the process of stabilizing the situation in Lesotho and will send a very clear and strong message to those in the security forces that the best way of resolving or addressing or dealing with problems is through democratic means, rather than military and having skirmishes and allowing tensions between the security forces to erupt into the type of situation that we witnessed or heard about the other day. So this is a good foundation to make sure that we move forward with a great deal of determination to find peace. And clearly, events like these or incidents like these do not lend themselves well for a conducive climate to be formed to resolve problems and challenges. So we're hoping that we have seen the last of incidents like these and that peace and stability will be restored. And indeed, the SADC mission is going to be taking upon itself to discuss, have continued interaction with various members of the security forces to see how best we can avoid situations like these. So that is one of those mandated issues that we have to deal with. The leaders of the region has envisaged that we should find a solution to the security challenge that this country faces. And we are determined to do so. Our determination derives from what I see as a willingness and a preparedness by the political leaders in this country and a number of officials in the security forces themselves. With regards to the question you raised, what is SADC's stance on the charges that have been preferred against General Kamodi? We, as SADC, are going to be looking at security situation broadly and all other related matters. And we have to be given an opportunity to do so. Pronouncing ourselves on this too soon or too early will not be the best of responses that we can give. So we're going to be dealing with this fully. There was another question, I think, from Billy. How are we going to find an amicable solution between the police and the army. In my main statement, I made a call to the police, the leadership, the army, the leadership, and the members of the two security arms, that what we have witnessed today, the signing of this Maseru Facilitation Declaration, means that the people of Lesotho, as represented by the various formations that are party to this agreement and that were consulted in this whole process, have made it quite clear that they want the problems of this country to be resolved in a peaceful way, and that they are not prepared to countenance and indeed to tolerate anything that is going to disturb the peace in this country. Ordinarily, many of us have found that Basotho are peace-loving people, and a number of people that we have engaged with have made it clear to us that what disturbs them most has been the security instability. So we want peace, amicable dealings between the army and the police, but more importantly, we would like to see the army and the police being depoliticized. We want armies in the region and on the continent to be depoliticized, to serve the interests of the people and not to serve party political interests, and to pay their allegiance, yes, to the head of state, who in this case is the king, and in the end to the people of Lesotho. That is what a good army does, and that is what a good police force does. And we hope that those principles will be upheld, will be adhered to, and they will be followed. It is only when security forces serve first and foremost the people of their country that there can be peace and stability in any country. The next question was, why are we reconvening? Does the reconvening mean that Parliament cannot, of its own volition, decide that they want Parliament to go to 2017? This agreement, which has been agreed to by all the parties, means that we are having an early election. This coincides with the decision that was taken by the leaders of the region. The leaders of the region of SADC concluded, having heard extensive descriptions of the challenges that Lesotho faces, that the best way forward for Lesotho is to go to early elections. And the leaders of all the political parties that we had occasion to deal with all concurred that Lesotho being where it is now, the best route to go is to go to elections. Yes, some did feel that they should go on until 2017, but when all options were looked at, when all issues were looked at, it was found that this was the better option to go for. That is to go for elections at an earlier stage. So this decision is supported by all. And we've also agreed with all the leaders that when Parliament reconvenes on the 17th of October, its main business, and indeed its only business, is going to be looking at how to facilitate a smooth election process. So issues such as motion of no confidence, floor crossing, are not part of the mix. They are not part of the menu. Because all we are doing for the limited, say, 6-week period, 6-week period when Parliament has been convened and when it will be dissolved, is really to prepare the country for an election and to hold, to pass the budget, and to hold the election. Thereafter, Parliament is dissolved, and all parties have said we cannot wait to go back to the people of Lesotho and to go and campaign, because we want to come back to Parliament having won even more votes and more seats, so that the governance of this country can continue. So that gives us assurance, that gives us confidence that Parliament is being called for this specific purpose. The next question was general election. Will it be free and fair? We have reason to believe that it will be free and fair. The wonderful thing is that in the region, we've held many free and fair elections. A number of members of this community, the SADC community, have been to elections, and they've all, by and large, been declared free and fair. So we have precedent upon precedent, history upon history of being able to hold free and fair elections. And I expect that the people of Lesotho, having had a rich history of holding free and fair elections, including the recent one in 2012, will do exactly the same thing again. You say members of the IEC belong to various political parties. If you go around the world, you will find that many members of independent electoral commissions are members of various political parties. But when they become members of the IEC, they take an oath. It's an oath that said they are going to run the election on an independent basis. That is why they are called Independent Electoral Commission. They will be independent. They will not have any fear or favor in terms of running an election or declaring how elections should be run, and they will not be influenced in any way whatsoever, including by their own political affiliation. That should never come in the mix. That should never influence them to try and influence the outcome of an election. So I have every reason to believe that members of the Independent Electoral Commission are people of integrity. They are people who will be able to run this election and deliver a credible, free and fair election. And by the way, we will have the whole world descending on Lesotho. We will have SADC. Various IECs in SADC are going to be here. They are going to lend assistance. They are going to be working with the IEC of Lesotho. They are going to be international monitors. The Commonwealth will be here. The AU proper will be here. The EU will be here. And indeed, many other countries are going to be represented here. So they will have many eyes watching. So I see no chance whatsoever in any of them trying to pull a fast one on the people of Lesotho or any political party. You asked the question, who is the head of the military? I mean, that is a question that does not require any answer. We've given an answer to that. And then we've had 3 declarations. How will we believe that this one will be honored? Well, all these declarations have been observed and they've been honored. And we've had to go through all these other declarations and agreements to get to where we are today. And this has been a build-up to this day. There's been a build-up to this declaration. And this declaration, which is being published and declared, if you like, to the people of Lesotho in Maseru itself, having been signed not only by the coalition government partners, but having been signed by all other parties, and having been underwritten by the King, His Majesty the King, and indeed, I would say, being underwritten by the people of Lesotho, is as good as solid. It's as good as any declaration that you can get. And I believe that what this declaration sets out will be adhered to, it will be observed. And indeed, SADC is here, not really as a guarantor, but as a partner, as a support base to make sure that all what has been agreed to is implemented. And I believe this will be implemented. This is a milestone development that many people who have had occasion to listen to its contents believe so. They say this is a new journey that Lesotho has embarked upon. It got into coalition politics. It has led to a lot of challenges, and the people of Lesotho are now going to decide themselves how the architecture of their politics should be configured. And in the end, it is indeed the voice of the people that is going to be the last. So when we go for elections, and many of us sitting here will be around, we will walk this journey as SADC with the people of Lesotho as we witness the real arbiters in any country who are the people. The people shall have an opportunity to speak. Thank you very much.
That should bring us to the end of this briefing. The President will speak to you outside. Right? Thank you, Prime Minister.
Well, those were live visuals from Maseru, Lesotho, where SADC Peace Mediation Facilitator and Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa has been fielding questions from the media. Well, weeks of tough mediation led by tenacious Mr. Ramaphosa has culminated in the Maseru Facilitation Declaration signed a few minutes ago in the capital by Prime Minister Tom Tabane and various other political parties there. Well, as per the new agreement, we understand King Letsie III will reconvene Lesotho's parliament on October 17th this year. That sitting will be limited, though, to the passing of the budget and discussion of early elections. Now, we do have a time frame for those elections. They will be held at the end of February sometime next year, and the SADC mission will remain in Lesotho until the conclusion of those polls. And all of this, of course, taking on heightened significance now as Lesotho is just a day away from marking its 48th year of independence.